This is a 2010 987.2 Porsche Boxster. And before you ask, it isn't an S, it's a base. The 2.9 liter flat six that makes 255 brake horsepower and 214 pound-feet of torque. It has a 6-speed manual transmission with some basic options, and it's finished in speed yellow.
For those of you that are familiar with the channel, you'll recognize this as my own personal 987.2 Porsche Boxster. And the reason for this video is because I've hit a bit of a milestone. You see, I've owned this car for 2 years, 1 month, and 9 days. I bought it back in October of 2021 as a CPO unit, and that means that just last month, my CPO warranty expired. So I thought it would be a great idea to make a video to talk about the costs that I incurred over the ownership of that 2 years with a CPO Porsche, and also give a bit of lessons learned. So it's not going to be too long of a video, but hopefully it'll be a helpful one. I'm going to go ahead and get started by talking about the cost first. Now, if I zoom out a little bit, I've left plenty of space here for me to list out everything that I say so you can see it holistically. I've owned this car, as I said, for just over 2 years, but all of these numbers are going to be right at the 2-year mark. So in that period of time, I put 3,568 miles on this car. For fuel, I estimated around $928.77. Insurance cost. I was very surprised when I bought this car. I thought it being a Porsche, it was going to be very expensive, but it actually turned out to be less per month than the 2003 Toyota Camry that I had at the time. $58.75 per month, and that's for collision and comprehensive insurance. That gives me a total of $705 per year and $1,410 over the 2-year span of time. Maintenance, this is the doozy. This is the one that I was the most concerned about, and probably the one that a lot of people are very worried about when they do buy a Porsche. Now, for the first year, I had to do the oil change and the brake fluid flush. It came to that point in time. Even though I had just bought the car, brake fluid flush was due. And I decided to take it to the dealer. Not because I didn't trust anybody else, just because I had just bought a Porsche and I thought, I'm gonna be a true Porsche owner and take it to the dealer. Big mistake. Brake fluid flush and oil change together cost me $949.48. Quite expensive. For the second year of maintenance, I needed to get the spark plugs replaced and do another oil change. Now, I took it to the dealer to get a quote, and they quoted me $1,675.67. I decided to go a little bit of a different route. I bought all of the parts myself off of a website called FCP Euro. Highly recommend you go and check them out if you're looking for any Euro parts. That cost me $82.56. I didn't get the oil, but I got everything else. The drain plug, the oil filter gasket, the oil filter itself, which is a lot more expensive on a Porsche, as well as the spark plugs. Then I found an independent shop that I trusted, and the labor cost was $300. So I brought it down from around $1,700 to $382.56. That gave a total maintenance cost over the 2 years of $1,332.04, or $660 per year. Now, I've broken that out over months, years, and the total cost. So the total cost of owning this car over the CPO warranty period was $3,670.81, which breaks down to $1,835.41 per year, or $152.95 per month. I also took how many miles I put on the car and broke it down a little bit further to determine that the cost per mile of owning this car was $1.03. Now, I don't know if that's a lot to you or if that's a little bit. Is it what you were expecting, more, less? Let us know in the comments down below. But owning a car is not just about money, it's also about lessons learned, especially when you buy a CPO car, because I had some misconceptions when I went looking for a CPO car that I learned kind of the hard way. So what misconception am I talking about? Well, when I bought this car, I specifically looked for a CPO unit, and that's because I had in my mind that a CPO car would be perfect, and if anything happened to the car, it would be covered. The reality is, that's not actually the case, as I learned the hard way. because just a few months before this CPO warranty expired, it developed a misfire on cylinder number 5. And there's nothing scarier than driving a Porsche, well, I guess driving a Ferrari or Lamborghini, but there's nothing scarier to me than driving my own Porsche and a check engine light coming on. So I rushed it over to the dealership. They did their inspections, they took the car apart, did what they had to do, and they determined that it was a spark plug that needed to be replaced. And that's considered wear and tear, not covered under the CPO warranty, so that cost was on me. No problem, spark plugs, totally understandable. Came up with the brilliant idea of doing the work myself. And by myself, what I mean is going to my younger brother, who's much more knowledgeable than me, and have him do it. So he exposed the engine, came to find that there was an oil leak. Again, very, very anxiety inducing, especially because when we found out about the oil leak, I was only 2 days away from my CPO warranty expiring. And it was late at night, so I couldn't just go call the dealership and schedule an appointment. Luckily, it was a Sunday. I called them on Monday, brought the car in right away. They did their inspections and they found that it was the PCV valve had cracked, worn away, and was leaking a bit of oil. Unfortunately, again considered a wear and tear item, was not covered under the CPO warranty, so I had to pay for that out of my own pocket. E-brake wasn't working quite as well as I wanted it to. They did their little checks, found that it was misuse by the previous owner, not covered under warranty. So everything that went wrong with this car outside of normal maintenance ended up to not be covered by that CPO warranty, which is really a shame. So the lesson that I learned was that it's not that you shouldn't buy a CPO car, because they are great cars, and it having the CPO certification means that they went through the car and made sure that there's no major flaws. But you shouldn't buy one expecting that no matter what happens, you're covered. If I could go back in time and go back on the hunt to buy my first Porsche, would I go for a CPO car? I don't know if I would. I would probably spend a lot more time looking for a very clean example of a privately owned car for less money, got a PPI done my due diligence, and went for something like that. The reality is, CPO warranties are expensive. They're not just included in the price. You pay for it as part of the MSRP with the dealership. And what you're really doing, or at least the way that I look at it now, is you're prepaying for something to go wrong. And if nothing goes wrong, or nothing that is specifically covered by the CPO warranty goes wrong, you're really just throwing that money away or paying for peace of mind. I don't regret buying this car, but there's a small part of me that regrets getting a CPO car because you just pay so much more. And that brings me to my last question, because when I did buy this car as a CPO unit, I told myself that 6 months before that warranty expires, I would sell the car. This would give peace of mind to the new owner, and it would relieve me of the stresses of having to own a Porsche and possibly having to fix it if something goes wrong. Obviously, as I'm filming this video, that warranty has expired and the car is still here and I still own it. And that's because I love this car. I've completely fallen for it over the time that I've owned it. Now, I haven't put quite as many miles on it as I would have liked, but I'm hoping that that's going to change. And what I'd love to do is do regular interval videos to talk about the cost of ownership, what it's been like. Let me know if that's something you guys would be interested in the comment section down below. But this is the first car ever where I've experienced something. Now, for those of you that are not aware, I am a photographer by trade. I do a lot of work with dealerships, with brands, and as a result of that and this YouTube channel, I get to drive a lot of pretty amazing cars, which I'm very grateful for. And usually when I drive these cars, I don't really want to give them back. I never really want to get into my own car again because whatever it is that I'm driving, I like so much more. But that's because I had a Ford Fiesta ST, I had a 2003 Toyota Camry, I had a Mazda CX-5, nothing that really got the juices flowing. With this car, it was the first time that that didn't happen. I would drive a really exciting car, something way faster, on paper, way better, a new 911, a GT3, a Ferrari, whatever it happened to be. But when I got out of those cars, I was always so excited to get back into mine. And it's not because it's the fastest, it's not because it's the coolest or the most expensive, it's because it's the one that I like. I love this car. I love that it's manual. I love how mechanical it is. I wasn't a big fan of the soft top when I bought this car. I bought it because I thought I was settling because I couldn't afford a Cayman at the time, but it turned out that this was the better option because there's nothing better than cruising down the coast with the top down or on a nice mountain road, playing some beautiful music or just listening to that flat six. So I didn't sell it 6 months before the warranty expired. If I can avoid it, I don't think I'm ever gonna sell this car. No matter how successful or unsuccessful this YouTube becomes, my business becomes, I'm gonna do my best to keep this car for as long as humanly possible. And you can help by liking this video, subscribing, hitting the bell icon so you don't miss a post, leaving your comments, engaging with my channel, giving me feedback on what you'd like to see so that I can build this channel into something that I can enjoy, you can enjoy, and then I don't have to get rid of this. But that's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that the information was helpful and informative. Leave me any questions down in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer them. But until the next video, take care.